Recording started for Ephraim. Right. Screwed up again, Ephraim. Test one, two, test, test. Good afternoon, ladies and gents. Quick question. Do you know the echo that you guys were hearing during the boot camp? Are you guys hearing that now? Or is that gone? Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know what that was. I wasn't able to log in the room, so I kind of had to do a workaround. So maybe that's what it was. But so most Fridays for everybody that's new, most Fridays I take off. I don't trade a lot on Fridays. Sometimes I will, but if I do, I usually do it by myself. But one thing that I do is I'll come in towards the last hour, kind of go through the weekly charts, sort of plan for next week, and kind of start getting my thoughts together for next week. And so I thought I'd do that with you guys right now, if you guys are okay with it. Uh, One of the things I do is I look back at my thoughts for the week. So, does anybody remember the Substack? Like, what did I think was going to happen this week before Trump decided to play the tariff game? I was completely wrong, by the way, which happens, and that's fine. You can be wrong when you're trying to figure something out that has trillions of variables. It's just be safe when you're wrong and make money when you're right. So what I thought was going to happen, I thought we'd get a little bounce, and then we'd roll over into today or Monday, and then we would kind of pop from there on out, and then we'd have this nice run, right? Like I thought maybe maybe a little pop, roll over, put in a maybe a higher low, or maybe just barely a lower low, and then go. Well, none of that's happened. We've just gone straight down, and so I'm sitting here, asking myself why do I think this is? I understand that news trumps technicalities all the time. It'll always trump. And so the technicalities don't matter as long as there's news and fear of Trump, tariffs, economy, right? What's happening? Like, I get it. I understand. Now, the other thing that I think I misjudged was the Japan carry trade. For those of you that are new, you may not understand what this is. Um, does anybody need me to explain what the Japan? Put a four in chat if you want me to explain what the Japan carry trade is. Or okay, so fine. So in Japan, you could actually borrow money, and you had negative interest rates, so you could get paid to borrow money, right? And what people would do is they would say, "Hey, I'm going to borrow $1 million from Japan. I'm going to take that $1 million and I'm going to stick it into the greatest companies in the world: Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, Amazon, Google." And what kind of return can you get from that? Well, literally, over the last 2 years, you got 20% returns each year just off of, an average. Well, I'd say the average for the Max 7 is actually higher than the SPY, so probably closer to 40, right? You've gotten a really good return. And so what Japan has had to start doing is they've had to start raising rates. And I've been warning everybody about the liquidity problems that are going to happen when Japan starts raising rates. And we had a period where Japan suddenly raised rates. And how many of you guys were trading when the SPY like really freaked out? I forgot what day it was, but they really freaked out because they had to unwind the carry trade. And what that means is, well, now that Japan has raised rates, no longer can you borrow at negative or 0%, you're actually having to pay 1%. Or I think right now, I don't know what it is exactly right now, but I think it's like I think it's close to like 1.8 actually. I think it's getting close to 2. I'd have to look. But anyway, it's going up and your free money is going away. So what we have to do as not just the US economy, but as the world, the money that has been borrowed from Japan has to be paid back. We have to close those loans out. What happens when we do that? There's less liquidity in the markets, just as in the world markets. There's less free money. So one of the things that I think I underestimated was how much was actually there. We can never know, exactly what it is and all that kind of stuff, but I feel a lot of this pullback was having to do with getting the free money out. And I think, quote unquote, I think we're there. I think we've gotten to the point where a lot of it's out and we're becoming more balanced. Now, does that mean we're going to go up from here? No, not at all. We still have to fight between, would you rather somebody get a 5% return, guaranteed return, or try to take a stab at the SPY? And let me explain something to you. The idea of valuations. Can everybody see this image? So if we look at this image and you look at the current PE and the 3-year average, is there a single one where the 3-year average is above where we currently are? Yeah, it's forced selling. A lot of forced selling is happening because you're starting to lose money in the Mag 7 and it just creates a waterfall of selling to pay back what you've loaned or what you borrowed. So look at just the valuations of where we are. We're high. We're extremely high. And so what you've got people doing, what was his name? Was it Hughes? I think his name was Hughes. Like there's a big guy, big trader, hedge fund guy that's like, I'm not putting my money in the market until the valuations come back. And he cites the historical norm of when you get to this, this extreme level, based on historical data, right? The current price to earnings ratio of the S&P 500, around 21, has offered returns over 10 years between negative 2% and 2%. So for 10 years, he's saying we've got a lost decade. We're going to get about negative 2% to 2%. So all of this stuff I understood. All of this stuff is the stuff I was warning you about. All of this stuff is exact. Everything's going to plan. It's normal. What I've done is I've mistimed it, and I've under-exaggerated the amount of selling that needed to happen, and it could be more. Do we need to get the S&P 500 and these other ratios down to their normal averages, or do we need to go below them before people start buying? I don't know. And this is why I tell you guys the safe money is in buying good companies at good ratios and good prices and just holding. And so all of this time while I'm trying to bounce the Mag 7 and the SPY and all this kind of stuff, I'm doing it with pennies on the dollar compared to what I have invested in BABA. And we can look at what BABA did this week, right? I mean, let's just look at this year. Like, again, this is the safe, right? The safer plays. Buy valuable companies at discounted prices, and I'm up 72% on the year. Now, I do think NVIDIA is setting up for a bounce play. I think NVIDIA is going to come back to at least 120, maybe 125. Like I think that's coming. But then I think it's going to roll over again. So I'm trying to figure out when this bounce is going to occur. And from a technical perspective, it's like, man, this is a good setup for a bounce play. Do I think we're going back to all-time highs? I hope. That'd be nice. And I'll hold a runner if we do. But the safe play is to understand this. And I hope everybody understands this. We're overvalued. We're overpriced. The world is very underpriced compared to the US. We need to close the gap. And that's going to create a lot of choppiness in American markets. America still is the best country in the world with the best companies in the world. And when they get low, people will buy them. Let me show you guys something else. Like, check this out. I mean, is this not crazy? So, like, this is the EU and their companies, and this is us. Oh, goodness. That'd be like me playing my little boy in basketball, right? I don't even recognize it. So, yeah, we're a little overbloated. I get it, but we still are the best in the world, and we deserve to be overbloated. We deserve to get the higher rates. We deserve for you to pay more for the greatest companies in the world. Yes, I agree. But I don't know if we need to be paying 25 times versus 23 or 21 or 19, especially when these others are trading at 13 and 14. So what needs to happen is maybe we need to come into 20, 21, 19. These need to climb up to 14 and 15. Like Bob is still trading, I think, at 12 or 13. I haven't checked lately, but it's still crazy. It's too low. So we need more balance in the world markets. And so I want everybody to understand what we're trying to do here has very little to do with investing. It's more of a technical play. We're not going to go just straight down. I think we're going to bounce, and I still think America is the best. And if we do go back to all-time highs, because earnings were 16.9% when 8 was expected, overall earnings were great, and you're going to find a lot of good value in the other 493 versus the Max 7. I think there's a lot of good that is happening, but it's not going to be as easy as it was in the past. And this is proof. I'm mistiming it. So I what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stop shooting for March. And the reason I'm going to stop shooting for March isn't because I don't think it's going to happen in March. It's because I want more time in case I do mistime it. So like I'm taking a loss on Nvidia. I'm going to take about a 10, 15 grand loss on Nvidia. But what I'm doing is I'm saying I'm not exactly accepting that loss here. I'm simply, I think you guys call it rolling. So like you roll the options out. It's like, all right, yeah, let me get a month more time. So it's like, let me sell the closer dated and buy a little further dated. And so that's kind of my approach for next week. Like, all right, maybe it's not going to come like I thought it was going to. It'll come later, but I'm still going to give it a shot. So what I want to do is I want to come through here and I want to look at the charts. These were my inside weeks. I want to say, what happened to my inside weeks? For you guys that don't know how to play an inside week, I've got a million YouTubes on it. Um, and so do you see how UNH actually worked? Why do you think UNH worked? It's not it's not Max 7. It's not big tech. It's not super overvalued. So people are still saying, hey, I'm willing to pay this for it. Well, Ulta, it failed, right? It did a breakdown. Well, it actually did hit the target. So this could turn into a ref strat, right? Again, it's low. So this one worked perfectly. So for you guys that want to play shorts, one of the best ways to play shorts, in my opinion, is through inside weeks because you got legs. So check out all these that you could have played, right? A lot of them failed because of the choppiness. Like Baba went down and then up. That's your rev strat. This one just went straight down. JD went up and has come in. So it's a possible rev strat to the downside for next week. Um, and so this just shows a lot of the choppiness. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to write down right now these companies like, all right, well, this one looks like it might. So Baba did a failed. Here, I'm going to go Baba, failed, down, and took up. what this is telling me is there's probably an opportunity to buy a dip. Like, yeah, like, so this would have been the dip. Maybe I'll do it next week, but risk off of this level. So risking off of 140 to see if this is going to create this cup and handle type look. And if it doesn't, your next level is going to be down here. So, that's ultimately by me writing down in my little journal here, BABA failed week down and took up. That's letting me know that you've trapped some short sellers and you should be able to buy the next pullback and have a high possibility of a bounce. All right, so BABA, check. FTAI, yeah, that just went straight down. JD, man. So what I'm going to write over here on JD, I'm going to write JD failed breakout on the weekly for two reasons. If it breaks down, I'm actually going to buy more JD. But if it doesn't, that's an extremely bullish thing, because usually when you get these failed breakouts, you do break down. And if it doesn't do that, you've got a lot of buyers there, and it could go. Okay, so now I'm going to get rid of all my inside weeks. I'm just going to delete them, and then I'm going to pull over my inside monthlies, and I'm going to review them. And so these are all inside months. So I'm going to jump to the monthly chart. Well, look at ARM. What does ARM look like it's doing? Well, it broke down for sure. Maybe ARM's setting up. So I'm just going to take a look. Maybe ARM Rev Strat on monthly, right? So if I want to go back in and look at the VPs and think maybe ARM could break down, trap everybody, and then rip. ASML as well. I'm going to put that in there as well. Maybe ARM, ASML. For you guys that don't know, ASML is one of my longer term picks. This isn't a 3-year thing. This is more of a 2-year thing, 12 to 24 months. I think we can get, again, I don't think necessarily a double, maybe a double, but I think we can get up to, 50, 60, 70%. And I think over 2 years, that's a good return on invested capital. Okay, so monthly, a CEG. Wow, look what CEG did. So like if we were playing this inside monthly as a short, like if we were willing to play this, look how much you could have got paid out. That's why these are so fun, because they give you such good legs a lot of times. So here's one that I really want to pay attention to. So during all this weakness, CHKP, it's been strong. Month up, took month up. That's what I want to write. Took month up. And what that means is, man, I need to pay attention to any squeezes, right? Like look at this daily squeeze. So if we can get like a 15-minute squeeze, like testing this backdrop, like this retest, so we get a pullback, and then we do a little 15-minute squeeze, and maybe we get an inside day, and then we could play it as an inside day breakup, knowing that it took the month up, knowing that it's strong, right? So I'm taking note of that. CRK, yeah, wow, look how much you could have made there. Ferg, Ferg's been a lot weaker than I thought it would be. GitLab, no. Wow, look at this inside. Look at this inside candle down. I mean, you could have easily captured 10%. Wow, ISRG. So what I'm going to actually write down on ISRG, I actually love this company, ISRG, took month. I'm going to capitalize way down. And the reason I'm doing that is because I actually want to look at it to find support zones that maybe I want to try to find some support zones to dip by this for a trade, like a swing trade. Like if we can start to bottom out, maybe against these people or whatever, and then it's like, all right, because this is a great company, everything good. It's kind of like Costco. Like anytime Costco dips, I want to be able to find that low. Try to buy it. All right, so that's ISRG. Next we got, this one. That's interesting. All right. MU. So check out MU. MU is definitely a failed breakdown. So what is it that we're noticing here on these possible rev strats? What do all the rev strats have in common? right? We got MU, we got ASML, we got ARM. You know, what is that telling us? Well, that's why I'm not invested in it, Mill. You're right. What it's telling me is actually is semis got sold off, but fine. We're finding some support, right? So it's like, man, if I were to go back and look at the SMH, I would look at the monthly on this thing. Yeah, we're gonna have a little tail here. Okay, well, let me look at AMD. What are they doing? Oh, look at that. They got a little tail. What about Nvidia? Nvidia's tail looks horrific compared to everybody else's. Come on, Nvidia. Supposed to be the leader. Yeah, on the daily, it looks okay. It's been so weak. And this is where I think a lot of that carry money was from. And so I think that's what's caused this. But all right, so understood the semis. Now this is RCL on the monthly. Big month now. And didn't RCL have good earnings, guys? I thought RCL had like really good earnings. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to dig into RCL way down, took monthly down. Thought had good ERs. I'll dig into that and I'll be like, all right, well maybe RCL is one we want to try to buy if it starts flattening out as well. Um, Sherman Williams is still inside. Um, Man, this is one that definitely I definitely want to play this if this starts breaking. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a note. SHW. I'm actually going to need to put in a buy stop order because I don't have a buy stop order in this. I just have an alert on upside break. So what that means is if this starts taking the month up, I want to be a part of it. And what that will do is that'll start firing the daily TTs. Okay. PDG is actually a rev strat to the downside. So if you're a short bias person and you're like, man, I think the market under, you actually have had a failed breakout here. PDG. Let's go in. Back. This again is one of my long-term companies. I dumped a ton of it up here. I would love to pick some of this up closer to 15. I don't know if we'll get there. It definitely took a month. This oil and gas company is a failed breakdown on the. Okay, so that's all the monthlies. Um, so now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through and look at the current week's setups. Sorry if I missed your questions. Yeah, so on have I discussed PayPal? I think PayPal is a buy right now, and I'm currently doing that. Now, again, we have our cost basis over here in the 50s, but I I think I still think you could possibly get a double from here. That's not in my thesis, but I do think in the next year we will test highs. So what you have to ask yourself is when he comes out with his real earnings and really what's happening, is 37% enough for you in a 12-month span? And if it is, I think this is a good spot to buy PayPal. And if we go lower, then it flips over to the 2-year, 3-year deal where I think we could actually get 120. And so the stuff that I have sold on this rally, I'll eagerly buy back. That's my thoughts on PayPal. Capscoop, the reason my green candles are hollow and the red are full is because it gives you more detail of what's happening. So you can actually see that there's a hollow red candle right there. Do you see that hollow red candle? All the hollow candle means is you actually close above where you opened and vice versa. So you see this green candle is full. That means we closed under where we opened. So we opened here and we sold off all day and we closed. Well, we opened here and we were bought all day and closed. So it just gives you a little bit more detail. That's all. All right, so for inside weeks, let's just pull over my PC 2000 here, and we'll look at the inside weeks. So you can see there's not a lot, right? Well, why isn't there a lot? Well, there's not a lot because the market was up 2%, down 2%, up 2%, down 2%, down 2%, up 1%, down 2%. It's just been crazy. So you're not going to have a lot of inside weeks. So we've got about 5. So let's take a look at those. What I'm doing, I'm just copying these over to my watch list for weeks. Okay, here they are. I think Rocket Lab would be a good one to play as an inside week, especially to the downside if we get it. So I will play this one if we're weak again next week. IBIT I think is another one to play. We've got an event in the White House today, right? I think it's today. I'm actually going to swing some of this over the weekend. It could be a sell the news event, and crypto could just crash because they didn't like what they did. So it's kind of a binary event, right? Like what I'm saying by that is buy small enough where if you lose 100% of the trade, that you're not hurt. Solve I probably won't play as an inside week, so I'm just going to remove this one from my watch list. The reason this one's on here, this was a free. We got this company for free because of our ownership, so move that one. PLTR, I think this is a great one to play as an inside week, especially to the downside, right? So if we're weak next week, I think PLTR could come into 60. Like it's still super overpriced in my opinion. And then gold. Well, I probably won't play gold. The only way I usually play gold is by actually buying gold. Um, Occasionally I'll play it, so I'm going to remove this from my inside weeks as well. I've got basically 3 that I'm willing to play as an inside week. It's IBIT, Rocket Lab, and PLTR. Now, if I want to play something that's a failed breakdown, I can come over here and I can look at the 1-2 downs on the weekly, and here's all the 1-2 downs on the weekly, which means we had an inside week and we broke down like CPS, R. I don't really want to play any of them. So the next one is to look at the inside days for today, and we'll probably have quite a few. Not really. So we must have have we gone all over the place? Oh, we did. Wow, we went all the way down to 560. Let's look at the inside days if we want to play any of IDCC, maybe. No. No, nothing really screaming out to me about the inside days. So now I want to see the potential 1-2 downs on the daily. See if there's any rev strats on the daily. Wow, look at that. Woo! Lots of them. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of run through these real quick. There's a lot, so I'm just going to kind of hit through them. And again, all this is telling us is that there was an inside day and we broke lows. Wait. I just yes. Hold on a sec. Something's not right. Like it's showing me one not real. So why is this one? Not an inside day. Something's wrong with it. Hold on a sec. I gotta fix this. It's not showing me. Oh, so you see right here? For some reason I selected 2-day and never selected it back. So I gotta switch it back to 1 day. Daily. There we go. But it is kind of interesting that 2-day was. All right, so here it is. One. Oh, oh, oh. No. So yeah, so no rest strats on the daily that I'm really interested in either. And then the next thing that I do is I'll start running through my favorites for the week and see if I need to keep them or remove them. So AAP is one that I'm like, man, I want to catch a 50-point bounce in. I tried it multiple times. I got like a 26-point bounce, but it just didn't work. Right? We tried it, didn't work. So I'm actually going to remove this one. I still think you're going to get a bounce, but I don't want to focus on that for next week. NBIS is one that I do like for kind of a longer term setup, so I'm going to keep that one on there. DG is one that I like for a longer term play, so I'm going to remove that one because that one's already happening. It happened. PLTR I'll keep on because it's an inside week. I'm actually going to remove this one. This is the one that shot up because Nvidia bought it. Um, if you ever get buying into the market, I think you'll get a bounce out of this one, but we didn't. So I'm going to leave. I may want to buy Bob, of course. That's yeah. Yeah. Off. So I'm gonna write down NRG take like CEG and I bet all these other hit took a really big hit, really big hit. Worth a trade. So my terminology, the way I think of a trade is it's less than a year, but I think you can get a decent percent return. But I don't want to try to hold it for years because I don't know if we can get 100% of this. And so many of these have taken hits. I'm gonna start getting rid of some of these. This one I'm picking off. Cash I'm taking off. Buy I'm taking off. Every day I'm off. And I'm gonna take off. Head I'm actually gonna leave on. E I'm gonna take off. I'll take off. Pain W I'm leaving on. Bros I'm gonna leave on as well. I thought about this one for a trade. I just want it lower, so I'm gonna take it off because it's already bouncing. L is one of the kind of plays long term. It's I'm gonna take note of this as well. Disney is one of my long term picks. And we've got our call spaces down here. Minus around 100. That would work for a trade. And take that one off my favorites. Look how strong ASTS has been. Wow. I'm gonna keep this one on my favorites. VRX on my favorites. This one looks great. This one looks like it wants to boom, boom. MA I'm gonna take off. If I'm gonna play something with AXP, take off. Man, Netflix. Wow. Netflix is another one I'm just going to write down. Got hit really hard. Netflix got hit hard because it had great earnings, like almost perfect earnings. Wanted to see a perfect earnings report. That was them. I'll take this one off. It's broke, failed, definitely broke, failed. Off. And companies just getting good pullbacks. Taking that one off. Take that one off. Thought it would curl at some point. I'm going to leave that one on. So I just narrowed down my favorites to 25, and then there was like 40. And so now the next step is I'm actually going to run through my master watch list to see if there's anything. I don't think there's going to be. I just want to see if there's any charts that like jump out at me and say, "Hey, these look great," right? For you guys that are asking about, 3-4 year plays, AAP, I think is a good one to take a shot at here. Um, so I'm actually going to add Apple to my favorites because it's actually held up pretty well. Look at that. That's pretty nice. Definitely not. No. Uh, this one too. There's probably going to be a theme kind of emerge on this charts that look. DJ's just crushing. Yeah, I'm going to add that to my favorites. Right, we can get smaller time frame. Squeezes. I do want to take shots at those. BSX. You guys tell me, when was the last time we broke the 55 on BSX? On, I guess here it broken. Yeah, it's just tempting to buy this company. But though, can't overhold. Yeah, starting to get some love. If you guys like the slow dividend type plays that have a chance of doubling, I think CCI is a great one for it. I am in that one. Favorite. I'm actually going to add Costco here. Do you guys see? Check this out. My earnings plays. Look at Costco's after. So what usually happens? Are you in backs? Yeah, I think it's going to do. What usually happens on Costco one day after earnings report? What's the normal thing that happens? You guys know how to read this? So this is 1 day after, 2 days after, 3 days after. What normally happens? You normally finish up. That's what this is. This is positive occurrences. So see where it says positive occurrences here? That just means that we finish green, right? So we finish green 3 days in a row. And then 2 weeks out, we're green 73% of the time. So what does that tell you guys about Costco right here, right now? I think buying a dip on Costco is a good idea. I think you can do it many different ways. I wouldn't necessarily do it with straight calls. I would either do it with buying shares and selling to open the calls against my shares, or just do a spread, like a vertical put spread, and just let it go sideways. If it doesn't go up, you're still good. I think what I'm going to do to remind myself of that is I'm just going to say, hey, you know what? Let's copy this, and I'm going to paste it into my little notes I'm taking here as prep for the week. The screen's coming back. All right, Costco. Okay, I got 8 minutes here before the market close. I got to get through these real quick with you guys. Let's see. And guys, like I'm telling you, like there's so many charts that are set up for a bounce play, and it's coming. I don't know when, but it's coming. We're gonna nail it. Say that. All right. And for you guys that are kind of negative on yourself, like one of the things I encourage you to do, like visualize yourself, like literally visualize yourself. That training that I do, that I say the mind can change the brain, immaterial matter can change material matter. Like I literally visualize myself and looking at a P&L and seeing like 6 and 7 figures. It's like I'm gonna hit the SPY. I'm gonna hit a 0 DTE SPY or maybe a weekly SPY, and I'm gonna make 500 grand. Like I envision this. I literally picture it. I'm like, oh, I just see it growing. It's like, oh, 10,000. 50,000, 100, Oh, here we go. Caught him. Finally caught him. All the work we've been doing for the past 2. This is why we're doing it, right? Like visualize that. When it comes, you're ready. And you're not like, oh, I made $100. Let me take my money and run, even though it cost me $1,000 to lose to make this $100. I'm gonna add this one to the favorites. I'm gonna dig into again Intel guys for a long term position. I think cash value for Intel I think is around $19. So I think buying around 19 or 20. So selling to open puts around those levels and or just straight up buying them I think is a simple way to produce small gains, a couple percentage points here, a couple percentage points. I did buy some IWM today for 2026. Add this one to the favorites at JD. Wow, McDonald's free. Ooh, I'm gonna add this one to the favorites because it's actually going. I guess charging $20 for a Big Mac meal is paying out. Hmm. I'm actually going to add this to my favorites too because this is a company that I like. Had really good earnings. Kind of like the Netflix idea. Wow. PNW, I'm going to look at again. It's one of my favorites to play. For you guys that like, turnaround stories, Pfizer's one of those. I think if you held this for 3 years, you'd get a double. Now, PSX is one that I'm currently buying and playing. These are the buy zones. If you want to play an oil and gas play on the pullback, I think PSX is one of the best ones to do that on. But, um, so I think I can tell you guys this. I'm hearing through the grapevine that there's supposed to be some news coming out on SMR before the summer. So I think it's June. So by June, we should get uh, an approval from Nuke Peeps, and that would be a catalyst for them. Another company that, if you like the dividend game and just buying and holding, as soon as rates go down and housing starts to go up, this thing's going to take off. Top in 150. When that happens, good luck. It's extremely hard to time the market. Think about Baba. Baba's been undervalued for 2 years. Finally starting to go. It makes me look like a genius. I'm like, I told you, Baba. I've been telling you, Baba, for 2 years. I'm not a genius. I would have just told you at the beginning of the year to buy Baba if I knew when it was going to happen. Right? Timing. Hard. I like this chart as well. Okay. All right. I am through my favorites. I've got all my favorites now, and what I'll do, guys, is I'll kind of put together the same thing that I did last week. Could be wrong again. You know what I mean? Like the beauty of the market is you always get another chance. And I lost a lot of money this week, and I also made a lot of money. The majority of the money that I made was on like short dated swings. Um, like I mean, short dated spy plays. Like I'll do zero DTE options and stuff like that. I was making really good money on the zero DTE options because of the volatility, and I'm doing that while I'm taking losses on the longer term plays, and I'm buying on the way down to kind of pay for the losses. And I view that as just kind of lowering my cost basis until we do get the pop if it comes. So that's still my mind frame, and that's still what I'm looking to do. Um, so here, I've got 2 minutes here, or 1 minute. I'll try to answer as many of his questions as I can. SMR, they're going to have they're going to have news whether they're going to be accepted or rejected from the nuke peeps, and that should hit before the summer. And the way that it works is there's a certain time period that they have to reply, and they're coming up on the end of that time period, and I think that's June of this year. So, um, I eat junk food and buy. I gotta become their client, right? Your cost basis is 73.97. I love it. I love it. That's beautiful on Baba. Keep that good cost basis. Why were the interest rates zero in Japan in the first place? Well, why does anybody lower interest rates? What are you wanting to do? The reason you lower interest rates is you want people to come and borrow money, right? You're trying to quantitative easing. Now inflation's gotten out of control. They've been doing it for so long that they actually have to raise rates a little bit to stop the inflation. Yeah, they're trying to juice the economy. Um, okay, are U.S. banks safe here? I think so. The best way I can describe it is when they weren't safe, what did the government do? In the last few occasions, at least, they backed them 100%. And if you think the U.S. government's going to collapse, then that's when the banks become questionable. Okay, I think I got everybody's questions. Yeah, bail them out. All right, guys. I will see everybody bright and early on Monday. You guys have a great weekend, and I will talk to you guys later. It may, Melinda. It may take a little hit initially.